Dear ladies and gentlemen, very pleased to welcome you to Eco Baltia investor webinar, where we will discuss the inaugural issue of Eco Baltia and the aspects of investing into the new bond. My name is Gins Belevich. I'm head of markets customers at Luminor, and today I will be moderating this call. Before we start with the introduction from the company, there's a couple of admin things that I have to remind you. One is that this webinar will be recorded. It will be available after the webinar Nasdaq webpage. So those of you unable to attend the whole time can also then check back into the video recording. There will be a Q&A session after the webinar, so please also submit your questions in the Q&A box if you have one. We have already received several questions in advance, so we will be going through them also after the presentation. Today, our speakers will be Santis Pūle, CFO of Eco Baltia and member of the management board, and Māris Simonovics, CEO of Eco Baltia and also chairman of the management board. But before I give the floor to the company, let me quickly guide through the main aspects of the transaction details of the bond offering. As you might have read in the offering document and the published final terms, there will be an unsecured fixed rate note issue by Eco Baltia. The volume will be up to 80 million euros. The maturity of the bonds will be in 3 years, but callable by the issuer after 2 years. The subscription period for these notes has already started last week. It will run until Friday, 10th of February, 3:30 p.m. Latvian time. The settlement is expected to be on 17th of February this year, and the final redemption date on 17th of February 2026. The minimum subscription amount for investors is 10,000 euros in the primary market, but the nominal value is 1,000 euros. So also investors will be able to purchase these bonds on the secondary market once they are listed on Nasdaq Riga First North Market, which is the intention after the bond issue. The coupon of the notes will be set within the range of 8 to 9%. This is for a good reason, now allowing the market to determine the coupon at the moment. Investors are able to submit their bids at 3 different levels, at 8%, 8.5%, and 9%. And then based on the quality and the size of the order book, the issuer will decide on the coupon level. But be aware, of course, those investors that are placing their orders above 8%, in case the issuer will set the coupon at 8%, your orders will not count towards the final allocation. You will not be allocated any bonds. The coupon will be paid semi-annually. There are several call options for the issuer and also investor put options in case there is a change of control event, listing failure event, or a delisting. And also the issuer will maintain several financial covenants. One is equity ratio, which will be kept above 30%, and net debt to adjusted EBITDA ratio, which will be below 4%. And now I will give the floor to Māris to a little bit start telling you about the company and the offer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to go over our company and tell in details what are the highlights for every bond investor or future interested person to know about Eco Baltia. First of all, shortly about our mission. So it's find value in each and everything, and this mission also is supported by the key value drivers of our company. So we are human-centered, focusing on increased production, developing our capacities both via M&A and also organic growth. And on top of that, we're looking and promoting innovation in our company, looking at new technologies, innovating the processes, and challenging existing business models together with our team. So we are focusing on automation and process efficiency. And this is also underlined by several of the last investments we have carried on during the recent years. So In a broader scale, first of all, Baltia is unique in a way that it's one and only live example of vertically integrated multi-service environmental group in Baltic. So we can provide waste management services depending on the client needs in Latvia and Lithuania, nearly in all types of waste one can come up with. Our company business has been structured into two divisions, so it's waste management services and also plastic recycling. Talking about numbers from 2021, so we reached revenues of 148 million euros and EBITDA of 25.8 million euros. So on the numbers at the end of September of last year, so we had around 2,200 employees, nearly 40,000 clients in Latvia and abroad, and we invested around 15 million euros in capex and development. On top of that, I want to stress that we are operating 25 facilities across Latvia, Lithuania, and also Czech Republic. And the last deal which we closed in January, acquiring a company Pilsētas Eco Service, added to these numbers additional location, additional 80 persons that are servicing your needs on daily basis. The history of Baltia has been very long with many interesting facts. So I would like to look at the last decade and in a way summarize what's been happening. So first of all, during the last decade, we have been heavily focusing on increasing our PET recycling capacities. So we have become one of the leading food-grade PET pellet producer in Northern Europe. So it means we can recycle the PET bottle from top to bottom and produce secondary raw materials which are suitable for production of new PET bottles. They are also suitable for applications in industrial different ways, like producing things for automotive industry, packaging, etc. And we also recycle caps and labels, which is a normal part of the bottle. Besides that, we also invested heavily in waste sorting. One of our largest plants is in Eco Kurzeme, invested in 2015. This plant services all Liepāja region and still nowadays is one of the most modern waste sorting plants in Latvia. Besides that, we also have developed our capacities to recycle all other polymers, which is polymer films, different cans, big bags, and various types of other type of polymer packaging. This is done in Nordic Plast, which in last decade has been experiencing two investment rounds. First, we upgraded the line in 2014, and then we continued the development also last year. And on top of that, I want to mention that we have proven track record of development with M&A projects. So within last 3 years, we have concluded 3 major acquisitions. So buying a leading market player in Lithuania Eco Service. Last year, we bought Tesil, which is one of the largest polyester fiber producers in Europe. And as early as January this year, we finished also the process of acquiring Pilsētas Eco Service, which substantially increases our market share in area maintenance. And on top of that, all of it is backed by stable and prudent investor base. So we have 2 well-known equity investors, our shareholders. It's European Bank for Reconstruction and Development and also INVL Baltic Sea Growth Fund, who is the majority owner with 52.81% of shares. Every investor should also know the key investment considerations regarding Baltia. First thing that we are super proud about is our market leadership positions, both in Latvia and Lithuania, in waste management and producer responsibility systems. We also have a leading PET recyclers position in Northern Europe. So our market share on European market constitutes around 5%. And with acquisition of our Polish brand, we have a significant position on the polyester fiber market in Europe and in Czech Republic. Our business model and financial performance has shown its resilience to different global turmoils that have been around in the last 2-3 years. So as you can see from the numbers from 2019 to 2021, despite COVID, we managed to increase our revenues by 70%, while our EBITDA went up even higher, reaching 110% growth on pro forma results. And this is, I think, quite significant step towards growth. And this is backed by increasing client base, increasing number of services we are offering. And I think this waste management industry over years has shown resistance to different recessions over the last 20 years since we are around. All of this is backed by established asset base, which is continually developing and able to service increasing needs of our customers. We also have an experienced management team that is responsible for daily operations and delivery of those services. And as I mentioned before, we are supervised by our shareholders and professional supervisory board. So I already mentioned the shareholder structure. So I own myself 16.68% of the company. The majority shareholder is INVL Baltic Sea Fund, and EBRD has a 30.51% of shares in the company. Our management board. So today you have a chance to meet me and my colleague Santa Spool, but despite being small board, we also have a significant industry and professional background. Our third member, Sigita Namata, she has more than 20 years experience working with Eco Baltia and is responsible for all legal matters, also board member and one of the most experienced environmental law specialists in Latvia for sure. Our supervisory board, first of all, represented by representatives of shareholders and also independent board members. But as you can see from the list, all of them have substantial experience in business and transactions, as well as investment management. So all decisions that are being taken go through supervisory board, and I think over years we have proved to make a good discussion and take well-assessed investment decisions. Talking about the business segments and going into details, so we'll cover company by company. But first, helicopter view. So Eco Baltia, as I said, is split into two parts. So environmental sector uniting 5 companies, and recycling sector uniting 3 companies. Here I also would like to say that each of these companies has a professional management team in place, full-time CEO and all necessary other team members who are responsible for daily duties and running of those companies. Eco Baltia Vide is our largest waste management company in Latvia, with more than 34 million euros in revenues in 2021. So we have about 75,000 waste sorting capacity right now, and we are working on increasing it on an annual basis. So we have 100 and more specialized vehicles, and we have definitely 500 employees with substantial industry experience. Our company in Lithuania is a #1 market player with even higher waste sorting volume. So it's 175,000 tons and 150 specialized vehicles. Also, the revenue in 2021 was higher and reached 44.8 million euros. UMIS, one of our smallest waste management companies, but it's important to know that this company is owned by a single municipality, and it's managed by us under concession agreement till 2033. So we have managed to turn around this company. So right now it's 1.2 million in sales and 45,000 cubic meters of household waste managed annually with 6 specialized trucks. Latvijas Zaļais Punkts is one of our oldest group companies with a leading market share in regeneration services. So we have more than 3,600 contracts, annually managing around 133,000 tons. of different packaging, electric, and hazardous waste. And in 2021, we managed to earn 10.9 million euros in revenues. EcoService, our most recent acquisition. So in numbers, 2021, it was 5.7 million euros. As I mentioned before, 80 employees managing over 2 million square meters of road surface annually. Going into recycling segment, so Baltia is definitely our recycling superstar, established as a startup back in 2003. Today, it has a 5% market share in the European market on PET recycling. And this is delivered by 200 employees with annual sales volume of 50,000 tons of ready-made products. So in 2021, it made also 50 million euros in sales. Tesil, one of our recent additions to our family, it's a leading polyester fiber producer in Czech Republic. It's located in Tabor. So with a team of 135 people, we are servicing almost 30 customers all around Europe, and our output capacity is around 32,000 tons. This is an important addition to our portfolio because we can supply a certain part of our raw materials produced in Baltia to Tesil, so delivering a lot of synergies which were not there before this transaction. And finally, Nordic Plasts, maybe one of our most diverse companies, because on the equipment we are operating in Nordic Plasts, we can recycle 3 types of plastics, which is polypropylene, LDP, and HDP. And we were one of the first companies that launched polypropylene recycling worldwide. So this is done by 110 employees with 17.5 thousand tons of input production. And in 2021, we managed to generate 9.4 million euros in revenues. Finally, a few words about the business environment. So, as you know, waste generation is in a way related to overall income. And there is certainly a convergence between waste generation in Latvia and Europe. So over years, we have seen that the waste generation has been increasing and coming closer to the waste per capita generated in Europe. What is additional driver of the industry in general is European legislation, which is pushing forward the recycling of waste. And you can see from the chart on the left, what are the possible ways and treatment applied to waste streams. As you can see, the waste disposal in form of landfills been going down, and I assume that in years to come, we'll face a full ban of landfilling of untreated waste. So recovery has substantially increased, and also waste treatment as such is going down as there is more and more waste sorting happening on the market. And this is fully driven also by our demands of our clients. So we see that there is more and more recycled products demanded by our customers for application in their production. And additional small but very important remark here is that the overall political goal is actually to increase usage of recycled materials in production of new products. So now we will cover financials, and I will pass the mic to Sandra Spule, who is our CFO.
Thanks. I will continue. So continuing the individual presentations of the company, we can say that consolidated level of the group, we expressed the result of the previously mentioned acquisition, some development projects, the result of efficiency. Everything company has managed to do those last 2-3 years. Significant revenue growth, as we can see, is happened last year. Basically, we are using here pro forma results to better to show the investors and other presentation readers and interested persons that the acquisition of EcoServices is which is the main reason for the substantive growth is done by acquisition of Eco Service in Lithuania in year 2021. It happened in August, so we use pro forma results to show the financial performance of the Eco Service group, which is a leading group in Lithuania. So doubling our revenues and looking into the 9 months results this year. So we cannot much speak about the expectations of 2022. The results annual are not audited and consolidated will be available at end of the March or middle of the March, as we are promising. And so we are reaching the levels of last year in 9 months already, becoming a company with a growth of revenue, so at 155 million turnover. Not only turnover is increased, also EBITDA and the margins we are improved. EBITDA level is increased like 3 times since 2019. Also supported and with like various reasons. So Eco Service is the biggest one. In addition to that, company is showing a good management structure, the strategic goals, performance. And so as a result of that, we can say that debt ratio also as a natural result of the activities has increased significantly. At the moment, we are using and are allowed to show those consolidated, I would say, legal consolidation ratios we are using to present today, but also in offering document, you can see that we are proposing to our investors to use a covenant for the covenant ratios, those net debt to adjusted EBITDA ratios, showing the better the position and performance of the companies. So EBITDA, debt to EBITDA ratio is increased to 2.6, which could be seen that like it is a high level, but it's a normal level at the market. And so adjusting that, taking out the IFRS 16 effect, which basically is the reason why we are looking at the higher level of the ratio. So normalizing that, it is the company has borrowing, so 2 times EBITDA. So on one hand, we can say yes that that capacity is half used. So we have reached also the similar equity ratio, debt to equity ratio. But the continuous plans of the group are the managements are trying, and we are fulfilling and working hard to achieve the strategic goals, the growth of the company, and achieving the strong asset-based company with potential growth in the future. Also, we come to the awards and achievements.
Yes, so as we are working in a rather regulated environment, you can see that our companies possess a number of ISO certificates and different various other certificates necessary for the end products for all industries. Is it food grade PET or is it automotive industry where we need also a certain number of certificates? Besides that, in the last years, we have been pushing forward our ESG agenda, and within the last couple of years, it's been verified by our main companies being listed among National Sustainability Index participants and also getting silver and platinum awards. And here I also would like to add that we have outlined ESG as being one of our priorities for the years to come. So we are working hard to implement ESG strategies in the group companies and also consolidated level ESG strategies to come in the soon future. In a way, to summarize the presentation and go into Q&A sessions, I'd like once again to remind the key considerations for every investor. So we are a clear market leader in waste services and also recycling. So the business model we are operating has proven resilience against turmoils on global market. So number of revenues is fixed by long-term agreements, also referring to one of the questions that is asked. So the asset base we are operating so that is ready to service increasing needs of our clients, and we are also continuously updating it to correspond to the most recent requests and needs of regulations. And most important thing here that the activity is supervised by the shareholders and their representatives, and our shareholder base consists of some of the most well-known financial investors in the region. So from our side, that's it. And now I think we are ready to go into Q&A session and cover the questions that have been asked.
Yes, thank you, Maris. Thank you, Santa, for a very good presentation on the company. Yes, it's the time to go into the Q&A session. I see that we have also some live questions from participants. But before we tackle the live questions, we had a couple of questions that were already sent in by our attendees beforehand, and a couple of questions can be summarized into one question. And the question is about the use of proceeds, whether you can elaborate a little bit more on where the financing from this bond issue will be used.
So at this stage, we cannot name particular projects, but Baltia has established investment department, which is working on a pipeline of investment projects. So some of the projects are related to organic growth, some of them are in the M&A field, and talking about the M&A type of projects, so they are in various stages of development, starting from non-binding offers, DD process is running, and some of them are also in the negotiation stage. So once those projects will be done, documents signed and closed, so we will report about them in the timely manner according to the requirements of the stock exchange.
Thank you. Then there's a question about Baltia services, and if you could elaborate on the percentage and distribution, both in terms of the volumes and also EBITDA, based on the countries where you operate.
So considering the deepness of the question, I have to revert to my notes. In 9 months of 2022, yes, so talking about the figures, so 81 million euros of revenues was coming from the environmental segment, so it's Latvia and Lithuania together, while 74 million euros came from the recycling segment. Yes, the proportion, it means around 51-49, which is a well-balanced proportion. Talking about yes, so textile fiber revenues are not in this figure, as we completed the transaction only in September. Yeah. So the full year results might reflect slightly different proportion, but this, as Santa said, will be reported in March.
Thank you. Then we have a question which actually consists of 4 questions by Silver. What is the proportion of revenues that occur on a regulated basis?
We can provide, of course, detailed data later on, but just to give like a helicopter view on this topic. So in Latvia, we one of the most important long-term agreements with Riga City was signed for 7 years, and I think it's around 4 years still to go. This year we are retendering some of the main agreements in Riga region. So I would say that probably around 50% of revenues is covered by long-term agreements, and the rest comes from trading of secondary raw materials and similar services. So then about the duration of regulated revenues, as asked by Silver. So in Latvia, the practice is that new tenders are typically between 5 and 7 years. So in Lithuania, it's also quite similar. In Lithuania, we are currently this year retendering agreements on management of secondary raw materials. So far, I think we are expect to be at least on the same level where we have been in terms of market share. Then talking about the recycling plants and equipment. So the recycling plants, we are renting premises in all occasions. Equipment is owned by Baltia, the daughter companies, and they are financed normally with the support of the bank. Yes. There is a question about goodwill on the balance sheet. So the goodwill in the balance sheet, it basically comes from the historical M&A transactions. So as we know, a certain part of that ends up in goodwill.
So the main increase in compared to the 31st of December last year, so the main increase in goodwill is due to vessel fibers acquisition and the one minor acquisition that happened in Lithuania. So Ecoservice managed to acquire Manoplinka Plus company. So those are changes in 2022.
And then Kasper has a very interesting question that I think we are not in position to answer as it touches our future plans. What do you say?
Yes, I guess if you can answer, then of course would be great about your plans about the new issue under green format, the green bond, and also a question about whether you can disclose what percentage of your operations would be aligned to EU taxonomy.
As I said before, so ESG is playing a crucial role in our company. I think we are actually one of the live examples of companies in this segment. So currently we have established a ESG implementation structure in our company. So we're paying a lot of attention to non-financial reporting guidelines according to all EU directives, bank requirements, and also requirements of our shareholders. So I would expect that within this year, we'll also progress with public ESG reports. And that, of course, goes exactly line in line with the EU taxonomy. And in the future, I'm quite sure if we will do any other bond issues, so they will be considered as green bonds.
Thank you. Then we have a question about the EBITDA of particularly Baltia, and maybe a comparison if you have on the 2021 results and 2022 9 months results for this particular company.
As only consolidated financial statements are published for the Eco Baltia group. So at Baltia at the moment we cannot disclose the 9 months results. Also, I can cover the.
Yes, and another question about whether the new bond acts like an equity in bank loan covenants, where it says Luminor loan bank covenant is equity ratio 35%, and 2022 9-month equity ratio was 33.1%.
As a management has disclosed in the 9-month statements, we have been in breach on 30th September with the bank set covenant on equity ratio for one of the group companies set loan agreement terms and conditions, and the bond is not like helping or the use to cover the situation. This covenant equity ratio is renegotiated until the 31st of December. So we have concluded the amendments to the loan agreements, and equity ratio is renegotiated and calculated now on adjusted equity ratio principles, considering adjusted assets and adjusted EBITDA levels.
So in short, the answer to the question is no. It's not treated like equity for the bank covenants. Then a question regarding if you can elaborate a little bit more on the debt repayment profile for the next few years and maturities of your loans at the banks.
So based on the 30th September loan balance amount, the biggest portion of the repayment schedules falls into 2025. Main of those amounts are loans related to Ecoservice acquisition. So, but the longest term of our existing loan portfolio ends in 2027.
Thank you. Then a question regarding ESG. Mark already mentioned briefly on this topic, but maybe a little bit of a elaboration on your ESG initiatives, your roadmap, ambition to get a ESG score, for example.
As I said, we are working hard on this topic, and we'll definitely deliver on this. We have been working on ESG for many years, and it's not been defined as any specific ESG strategy so far, like 1 or 2 pages in our strategy in general. But if you look at our performance, so first of all, gender equality is there. So our management is very balanced, and women play a leading role in our senior management. We are also focusing on usage of energy. So looking at our CO2 emissions, working towards energy efficiency, increasing the number of vehicles running on CNG, for instance, which is considered environmentally friendly. And also Latvia has adopted the EU legislation early this year. So all the new tenders require trucks of like this, so which definitely improves our position for new tenders, as smaller market players are unable to qualify as these trucks are expensive. We are also reviewing our recycling activities, so defining energy consumption by products, working towards decreasing the energy usage on a product by product basis. So we have hired persons responsible for ESG questions on group level, and also increasing overall ESG knowledge and awareness in daughter companies. So there is a number of issues we are doing, but for the public, I think in a short time there will be both reports and also ESG strategy once it's approved by supervisory board.
Thank you. Another question has come in from Silver. Thank you, Silver. In your 2021 report, it stated that around 9.9 million of revenues come from outside the European Union. Could you please specify the regions?
So yes, it's a very good question. As Baltia is a leading PET recycler, so in 2021 we still had clients both in Russia and also Ukraine. So once the war started, we cut all the relationships with the Russian companies, and I think we are a very good example how this positively impacted our business model. So working together with our engineers, we managed to increase the quality of those products that we used to export to Russia. With a certain addition of additives, so we managed to produce materials that are today used in textile fibers to produce polyester fibers. So actually, this is the way how we came to acquisition of textile fibers, that through improvement of the products we are producing.
Thank you very much. There are no more open questions at the moment, so I encourage the attendees, investors, analysts, or other people interested in the capital markets or Eco Baltia in particular to submit the questions. We will be still waiting for a couple of minutes for them to come in. Maybe a question from my side about the main growth drivers for your business. Where do you consider them being at the moment, and what is your future plans and positioning?
So first of all, I think that on the macro perspective, it's increasing personal income, which is driving the overall production of waste, unfortunately. So there is more waste to be handled every year in the region. From political perspective, so there is a big push on recycling as one of the final applications for treatment of waste. So we are in position to continuously grow our capacities for recycling of various wastes, especially plastics. So there is a ban on single-use plastics and focus on possibility to recycle plastic packaging. So we are spending a lot of energy and time to study these questions and improve also our production, automating the processes. So one of the most recent upgrades of our line provides automated sorting of incoming plastic stream, which was previously done manually. And the final and most important thing, I think, is the demand of our clients. So we see more and more clients demanding recycled products in production of the final goods, which is a good example how the circular economy works. So I would say that Eco Baltia is the backbone of circular economy in Baltics.
Thank you very much, Mars. Yes. As there are no more questions at the moment, I would probably like to thank. Oh, sorry, there is
One more
just
question.
coming
Yes.
in. What is the group's target net debt EBITDA ratio? Historic and current debt levels are substantially below indicated covenant level.
Yeah, so maybe I can take this. Yes, it's a very valid question. Yes, so our development has been very balanced, and we were normally quite risk averse. So with Invada coming in as a leading shareholder in our company, so we have been much more active in M&A transactions, which has been driving our revenues and also debt EBITDA ratios. Our general expectation is that we are not going anywhere far from the levels where we are today. So as indicated in the offering document, so the consolidated debt EBITDA is not going to be any moment more than 4 times, despite that you said it's 4% in the beginning. But yes, I think we are focusing on well-balanced and thoughtful development of the company, both on the balance sheet side and also on the profit and loss side.
Also, I would like to add that our senior bank financing agreement is to keep the level at 3.5 as a maximum.
Thank you very much. So if no other questions, then I would like to thank all the participants, all the attendees for dialing in, for having a look at Eco Baltia's offer. Thank you, Nasdaq Riga, for organizing this webinar, for hosting us, and looking forward to a successful transaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.